Hey, how you doing? This is Jordan Morrison, and this is another episode of It Is What It Is. And I'm going to be talking about some things that I did wrong, some things that'll help you, and I'm going to be talking about the new song that I released. So we got some cool updates in this episode. Now, when it comes to chasing your dreams or trying something new and feeling vulnerable, that is scary. When I started my podcast and started making music, I was so worried about how people perceived me, how I perceived myself. Some of the mistakes I made really helped me as a person and helped me as an artist and a creative. And one of the biggest hurdles I had to overcome was I had to stop worrying about other people judging me, because I did some really silly things worrying about people judging me. I remember I bought Instagram followers because I was worried about the number of followers that I had. And when I think about that today, I am so much more proud of the music that I personally make. And I am so much more proud of myself because I have realized through some of those mistakes that I really just need me to like me. I don't need 1,000 followers or 50,000 followers. I don't need those people to like me because I just want to like myself. And I'm so thankful that I learned that and I experienced it. But if you can skip buying Instagram followers and just like yourself, I hope you can do that. I hope that helps. Something that might help as well is the previous episode. We talked about reasons to make music, and I think that it does apply to any dream that you have or anything that you're pursuing. You should do it for yourself. You shouldn't do it for fame or notoriety or wealth. You should do it because you're looking to add part of yourself into the field of your passion. I have a buddy who's passionate about coaching athletes around strength and conditioning, and I know for a fact that he does that to his best of his abilities because he puts in the work. He learns new skills and techniques to apply to what he's passionate about. And it took me a while to figure that out with my podcast and with music. And I hope it helps you. Something that I want to impart on you if you're looking to make music is you'll need to pick a digital audio workspace, a DAW, and you can pick any DAW that you want. I'm going to recommend Logic. Logic is a great DAW. There are other DAWs out there that are great. Pro Tools, Ableton, FL, those are some other DAWs, and feel free to use those. Some of my tutors have said that they recommend Logic as well, even though they don't work out of Logic. It's a great starter DAW. And a DAW, you can kind of think of it as a canvas. For photographers, they use Photoshop. That is the software they use. Musicians use DAWs. And again, Logic, Ableton, Pro Tools. So if you're looking to make music, let's talk about Logic. Logic is the place you can go to find all different kinds of instruments. You can import audio. You can create MIDI. And if those are things that you're not familiar with, the reason I'm suggesting you pick a DAW is because your next step is understanding how to use that DAW. You're going to want to understand how to import audio, how to utilize MIDI. You're going to want to understand how to navigate that DAW, use your cursor, use your fade tool, use your crop tool, so on and so forth, because those are going to be extremely important once you start adding a musical element. So something I did was I went to Monthly or Studio. They have changed their name. And I picked one of those classes to teach me how to utilize Logic. Now, when I took it, I didn't know what was going to be valuable and what wasn't. Turns out all of it is pretty valuable, but you don't have to go that route. You can go to YouTube University, which I think is a cool name to call YouTube, because it is just a bunch of free information out there. So before you start worrying about chords and chord progressions and melodies and vocals and all that kind of stuff, figure out what tool you're going to use to work out of, and then understand how that tool works. Take the time to equip yourself with the knowledge, because that's going to be extremely important. What I would recommend is understanding the tools in Logic. Before you worry about getting a guitar loop or anything like that, make sure you get a DAW. Second step is know how to use that DAW. Know what it's providing for you. Understand the basics of how to navigate it with the different tools, again, such as the cursor, the fade, all that kind of stuff. Those are going to be all extremely important. That's the second step, is to know how to use that DAW. So if you can knock out those two things, you'll be on the right path. Something that I wish I could do differently is I wish I could go back and I could stop being so worried about where to start. The information I just gave you is a great place to start in learning how to make music. Spend a week or two or a couple weeks really understanding the different tools, the different instruments, the different windows that are in Logic. Because once you understand and you're comfortable with navigating Logic, you'll feel less overwhelmed when you start adding musical elements inside of Logic. Because over a year ago, the first time I started making music inside of Logic, I was so overwhelmed, and I was looking at how far I had to go to start making music and finding a sound that I liked. And it seemed like I wasn't going to figure it out. But if you trust the process and you put in the time and you put in the work, I promise you'll figure it out. It'll be less daunting and it'll start getting fun. To be completely honest with you, anything you're starting off doing, anything you're starting off learning might not be fun. But something I can promise you is if you put in the work and you put in the time, you'll start to see yourself getting better. And anything you start doing, you exponentially get better at it much quicker than 1 year, 2 year, 3 years down the road. That's where I've been given some advice that you'll hit stagnant periods and you still got to work through it. It's part of the journey, it's part of the fun. So all of that to say, start somewhere. One of my biggest regrets was that I didn't just jump in and start figuring it out. I mean, I did, obviously, but I was very tentative and I was scared. I was worried. I didn't know if I was going to be learning the right or wrong thing. But that feeling of being uncomfortable and not knowing where to begin is a good thing, because it's going to push you in the right direction and you're going to start to realize what you do need to learn. So for this week, I challenge you to go find a DAW and go start understanding how that DAW works. There's a bunch of free information. I will link the class that I took from Monthly or Studio. Again, they have changed their name. I will put the link to that class. It did cost money. And then I'll throw a couple YouTube links in as well for beginners working inside of Logic and the things that they need to know. Because once you understand how to use Logic and what it's offering to you, it's going to make a lot more sense when we start adding music to it. So that's the music information I have for you. I did release a song, and I want to let you know that it was one of the coolest things that I've done in a long time. I was really excited for myself, and I had come a long way. And one of the coolest things that happened was before I released it, it's not a good song. It's not a song that would be on the radio or anything like that. But for me, I was able to really identify my progress, and that was cool. The coolest part was I was dancing to a song that I made. I was in my living room and I was like, yo, I can't believe that I made this. And I can't even comprehend where I'll be at in a year. And I want you to take that same energy into whatever you're doing. Put in the time now. It's going to be a grind to try to figure out what you do and don't know and all that kind of stuff. But the feeling of leveling up on your journey is unmatched. There's nothing like it. So I highly recommend that you get started and you stay consistent. Those are the things that are going to give you that feeling of accomplishment and being excited about your next milestone. I remember buying followers to try to feel a certain way. I remember paying to advertise my podcast, and I remember doing all of these things without really putting in the quality of work that I should have been putting in. And that's okay. Like I love myself for that. But if you can skip those pains with whatever you're pursuing, it's going to go a long way for you. Don't worry about how other people see you. They're either going to cheer you on, or they're going to like talk shit, or they're going to be indifferent. And all of those things are okay. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you're doing something that you like to do. And I know that sounds silly and easy to say and obvious, but I would prefer that you like you, because I was so worried about having 1,000 followers. I was so worried about having 2,000 followers that I wasn't really taking the time to make sure that I liked myself. And if you can like yourself, then you don't need 50,000 followers to like you or anything like that. So trust that you will do the best that you can do for yourself. Trust that you are going to get yourself to where you want to go. And that's all you need. I was fortunate enough to have family and friends support me and motivate me, and they continue to do that. And I'm very thankful, and those people know who they are. But you don't need that to be successful. What you need is you. And you don't need a bunch of followers on social media. You don't need a bunch of views on YouTube. That's not it. You've got everything you need. So that is a lesson I'm extremely thankful for, is that that I, like myself better than when I started this. And again, I'm very thankful for that. So I believe in you. I know that you can do it if you set your mind to it, and that'll all work out for you. Getting into my song now, I want to share with you some of like my early songs that I made, and give you some insight and kind of keep it real with you guys. So here is just one of my early projects. It's a bad song. I mean, if you can call it a song, but I will play it for you. And I had no idea what I was doing. Like I was so lost. I didn't understand music. I didn't understand the DAW. And all of those things are okay, because when you start putting work in and you have a product to evaluate, that's when you can get feedback. That's when you can be honest with yourself, and you'll start to learn, what do I need to know? Because from that song, I then had this song. I swear you looked at me and said, don't let me down. And guess what I did? That song, that beat was not mine, because I was too embarrassed of my beats and things like that. And I figured, you know what? I can make vocals. I could do vocals and I could sing it, and it'll sound great. If the beat's there, my vocals will be there. And clearly that wasn't the case. So that was over, that first one I played for you, and then that last one, the second one, that was over a 3-month period. And then I have this song. Wipe the morning drool off my face, peel the blinds back of a new day, stumble up to my coffee cup where I drop my favorite Starbucks mug, punch my pass. That song, I did make that song from top to bottom. And even though it's elementary, it still was a big accomplishment for me, and I am very proud of it. I was able to write the lyrics, sing it. I produced that beat. And then I have this song. Yeah, you the baddest. Got the skyline view of Dallas. Baby girl, you complete the palace. Yeah, you the baddest. Yeah, you the baddest. So, again, I produced that song. I wrote that song and I sang that song. And that, again, was a few months after the previous one I played for you. So from that first one to the last one, huge difference. And what I'm trying to share with you is that it's going to be bad when you first start. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You might be hypercritical like I was. You might be worried about what people think about you. And that's all okay. But what's not okay is not starting. And I can tell you that from experience because I put this off for so long. I put off my podcast and music, and I felt like I've wasted too much time. I'm too old. I can't do this. I can't start now. You know, I don't know. I don't know anything about music. So I had all the excuses, as you can see. And I'm so thankful that I started. So the message in this podcast is start whatever you're inspired about. Start whatever makes you excited. Start whatever maybe you're fearful of, you know, because it will end up turning out into something that you are excited about, you are grateful for. I can promise you that. So to recap, go find a DAW, go learn how to use that DAW, and I'll have some more information for you next week as well. So you can continue to add on and progress through music, or hopefully this information helps you with whatever dream that you are looking to chase. So really appreciate you guys. Looking forward to next week. And if you feel so inclined, please go check out that song. Give me some feedback, and I will talk to you guys later. See ya.